and all it got me was...
Things at the Salvatore School for Young and Gifted are heating up again, which means it's time for another season of Legacies. Get ready to follow Hope, Landon, Josie, Lizzie, MG, and Raphael as they continue to protect their school from mysterious monsters and their town's supernatural past. And you know what? All these actors are not only making a ton of movies, but they're also having a ton of fun on set. So we've compiled some of the best bloopers out there. So here are the Legacies bloopers that are even better than the show. Let's jump right in. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. Number 15, Josie singing in the car. We'll start this list off with one of the funniest scenes in the entire season, the road trip. You know, the one where Lizzie and Hope argued? Josie barfed straight on Hope's legs, and they almost died because they weren't paying attention. Yeah, that's the one. And then Josie calms everyone down by singing a song. Well, it turns out that song was more difficult than it seemed, and the blooper reel they showed how Kaylee Bryant even cursing out loud because she messed up the lyrics, but she tried to keep going by mumbling nonsense, and that made it much funnier. Number 14. That was a beautiful speech, Raphael, wasn't it? Two brothers brought up together, then one's left behind because he's no longer needed. Raphael is really good at giving those speeches, especially the one where he was talking to the audience, and he managed to captivate everyone in the audience in front of him, as well as all of us at home in front of the TV. But this scene wasn't as smooth as it looked. Initially, Peyton got so carried away with acting that he managed to forget his lines, and right in the middle of his speech, he breaks character and he says he made a line up, after which he laughed and the entire audience laughed alongside with him. Imagine getting all those people to retake the whole scene. Oh boy. Number 13. Dorian slips when trying to save the day. When Joe was trying to figure out who the next monster is going to be, the love of his life, who has been dead for 16 years, appears in the same room as him, and you know what he does? Without a smidgen of hesitation, he points to the crossbow straight at her heart, assuming she's a monster. When Dorian bursts through the door and sees the crossbow, he's lost for words. A few seconds later, he moves closer to Alaric, and he tries to talk some sense into him. In the bloopers, when Dorian walks in the door, he slips just before he could say, "Whoa, whoa," and we just couldn't figure out if that was part of his line, or did he say he was going down? Number 12. Josie trying to burn Hope. The scene where Lizzie stops Josie from burning Hope after she attacked the love of her life is one that warmed our hearts the most, and we all know that Josie was not being herself because of the parasite. And just as she was about to burn Hope alive, Lizzie helps her to feed the mind-controlling parasite. This was the series. In real life, though, it went a little differently. It would have gone just fine if Kaylee Bryant remembered all of her lines, but then again, it was really funny the way she started cursing without breaking character. It was one heck of a blooper. Number 11. Lizzie and the phone. Lizzie and the gang are in the woods. They're running to solve the crime when all of a sudden her dad rings on the phone. They try passing the phone from one person to the next because none of them want to talk to Alaric, so the only one left to do it is Lizzie. Even though she is risking her life, she knows she and the gang can solve the mystery and asks her dad to trust her. Nothing wrong with that, right? Wrong. Back up a little bit right to the point where they were passing the phone to one another. That's when the blooper happened, while running towards the spider and throwing the phone around, and inevitably it fell to the ground. The guys laughed about it, but they had to reshoot the entire scene. Number 10. Trying to catch the food. You know the scene where Lizzie tried to make a banana cream pie all by herself? The result? A complete disaster no one could clean up. But in all that mess she caused, she and Hope did manage to have some fun behind cameras. Initially, to pass the time, Lizzie started throwing popcorn at Hope, and she tried to catch them in her mouth. After numerous failed attempts, she finally managed to catch one, and they were back to shooting. Number 9. Landon Kirby and Hope Mickelson's kiss was more awkward than the show. We all know that they are one of the most romantic couples on the show. They had their ups and downs, but they're still a great couple, and you know that romantic kiss where Hope kind of teased him a little bit before moving her lips away, saying, "the only thing." Now let's talk about the bloopers and the fact that actor Aria shahghasemi was so nervous he couldn't stop laughing during the filming. Number 8. Lizzie has a problem remembering a basic line. You know, Lizzie is not the type of girl to be remembering things like homecoming dances and the like, but did this short-term amnesia transfer onto Jenny Boyd as well? Because just like her character, she couldn't remember a simple line. Quote, like, "I'm sure I didn't forget. Just remind me." Doesn't sound too complicated, right? It's one line. We know she's a great actress, but sometimes even the greats make mistakes or forget lines. Number 7. Lizzie got a little too excited. They're sisters, they're different, but they love each other despite their differences. And the scene where Lizzie tells Josie it's her birthday and runs towards her, hugs her, picks her up, and spins her had to be redone a couple of times. Why? Because the first time they tried it, Lizzie picked up Josie and she knocked the freaking camera to the ground. I guess she swung Josie a little too hard, didn't she? Number 6. Let's do this again. Man, this scene in the forest was hard to film. Right after Josie told her father that they're off to fight the spider in the woods, she hung up the phone and started to say to the gang, "Let's do this," and then started walking all funny. We suppose she was talking to the camera crew crew and the director when she said it because they did do it. They did shoot that scene again, but I'm sure it made for an interesting blooper clip. Number 5. You'll scream no more. We all know this series has some epic fight scenes, and they can get pretty intense. And in one of them, one of the actors got a little too much adrenaline pumping through his veins. So what did he do in the heat of the moment? As he was screaming and yelling, falling on his ass put a stop to all that. So now the only thing left for him to do was actually laugh at the whole situation, just like the rest of the crew, before having to redo the entire scene. Number 4. All the F-bombs. We know it can be frustrating to try and remember all those lines, and these guys have had enough. It seems like Josie or actress Kaylee Bryant isn't the only one who has trouble remembering the lines, and just like her, almost the entire cast curses out loud when they mess a scene up. Matthew Davis is a stunning example of how he forgot his line and didn't break character but continued cursing at the camera. From Danielle Rose Russell to Jenny Boyd, they all mess up some of their lines during filming. Number 3. All the weird dancing behind the scenes. Another one of the coping mechanisms actors use when they mess up a line is to start dancing in front of the camera. They know they will have to redo the entire scene all over again, so why not do a little dance to move your body? All the guys do it. Katie did it on the football field. Then we have Quincy, Matthew, and many others. Plus, at the end of the blooper reel, we have this clip of a stuntman doing an air flip, but the guy messed up his landing, so he ended up falling straight on his butt. Number 2. Hope and Lizzie in the kitchen. We told you that Lizzie has a hard time cooking, but this time it was Josie that messed up the scene. After Lizzie told her that she tried to make a banana cream pie and messed up the kitchen, instead she and Hope started talking, and carried away with a moment where Hope didn't even see the bowl in front of her, that she knocked as she moved her hands in the air. Although funny, they had to redo the entire scene. Number 1. All the behind the scenes at Comic-Con. Despite the hilarious moments on set, some of the funniest bloopers are the ones that actors shoot themselves, whether that was while doing their makeup or while doing an interview. They're always sharing hilarious footage of the gang before the event. They even shot some behind the scenes footage at Comic-Con. Even though they're not a part of the series, these videos are our favorite because they show us exactly how close the cast is behind closed doors. And that wraps up the video. Thanks for watching.